bit about CADLearning and the value from it and how it can assist you. CADLearning does cover the full employee lifecycle. It's designed to help you, particularly in our enterprise platform, to meet the employee lifecycle from pre-hire with our pre-hire assessments that help you identify if someone's the right candidate from the job, which then develops an onboarding path for that candidate. Because our library is so broad and so deep, it gives you the tools to upskill either in the application you use every day, such as Revit, or in a new application like maybe Dynamo. And then lastly, in terms of retention, we find that people that have access to ongoing learning and improvement are far more likely to stay with an organization if they have those tools available to improve themselves. The solution we provide is very personalized to the end user to deliver targeted, pointed learning for them. And by that, I mean, in CADLearning, you can come in and very quickly find an answer to a quick support question, or you can also very quickly come in, assess yourself on a new topic that you're trying to learn, and quickly identify where your gaps are and just focus on those individual gaps. So really allowing you to use your time very wisely and not spend time watching things you already know how to do. We also offer an in-application tool called CADLearning Assist, which I think Brenda just mentioned. It provides performance support for you when you're in the middle of production or project work where you need help, you need it now. There's nobody available. We're all working from home. CADLearning Assist can be the tool to get you through that moment of need. Something we had introduced last year is competency-based learning. It's goal-based learning that allows you to come in and make sure that you not only watched a lesson, but you understand it. And I'm going to go through that during the presentation, but we literally make sure that every lesson that we have has an associated question so you can do a competency check. I mentioned our integrated assessments. They allow you to make sure that you're identifying where your gaps and you're getting the content to help you bridge those gaps and become more productive in the tools you use every day. So from a user perspective, what's in it for you? Faster time to proficiency, because we've broken down CADLearning into these micro-learning lessons, you can quickly come in, discover how to perform a specific task, or learn new features and topics within the product that maybe you weren't aware of before, and really get up to speed very quickly. Our answers are vetted. We are an Autodesk authorized publisher, in fact, the first in their program. So you can be rest assured when you're utilizing CADLearning that you are getting the design intent of the tools. So you're learning specifically to how the manufacturer intended. With our goal-based learning, you can find content specific to your job, as well as in the CADLearning library. And I'm going to, again, step through that during our presentation. We allow you to develop learning paths that help you move up to the next level and to continue to move up. So what if you're a manager? Well, we do offer an enterprise solution to CADLearning for organizations. As an organization, we give you the tools to take a group of employees or a department, understand where each user is in terms of their skills and knowledge, and then provide learning plans specific to those users so they can bridge those gaps. With our analytics, you're able to track and see how your employees are improving and gain insight where the gaps are, where maybe not only do they need CADLearning as a learning tool, but maybe some personal instruction as well. We give you the tools within CADLearning to customize it to fit your needs. And again, this is something I'll go through in the presentation, but there are customization tools that allow you to not only take our content and shape it to fit your needs, but also bring in and feather in your own content, your own special sauce for your users. because CADLearning can really act as a self-help support tool, it's going to reduce some of the internal support anybody on the line that's a manager is doing. So it'll help keep your teams productive, allow managers to focus on the more complex tasks and workflows. So at the end of the day, what we really want to do is maximize your billable hours, and especially in this industry, staying productive and being billable is very, very important. And that's why we designed CADLearning the way we did. And our example with CADLearning Assist, our in-application tool, we're using just 10 designers. So picture a small department. Somebody needs help, and what happens? I mean, we see this all the time, and I'm sure even today where a lot of us are remote, people are still utilizing Teams or whatever your meeting tool is as that tap on the shoulder type of scenario. And as soon as that happens, now 20% of the team is no longer billable. And those costs are huge to an organization. 20% of the team times your billable hourly rate, times your overhead, times the amount of time it takes, times the amount of times that happens over the course of a day, a week, a month, or year. And that's just money that you can't recover. And chances are, after you resolve that issue or show somebody how to do what they need to do, they're going to need help again, because we all know repetition is what really sticks. So we recommend that you utilize CADLearning Assist to get quick answers in application and minimize that downtime for you. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and close my presentation and bring up CADLearning. Let me just move this off my screen. So I am logged into CADLearning. I'm logged in just like any other user, and I'd like to bring you through what it's like as a user in CADLearning, and then show you some of the capabilities we provide as an enterprise. So this is our live production site where our subscribers come to. You, of course, would go to Microsol Resources production site to try out CADLearning. So this is me over here. I'm logged in like any other user. And when I log in, I see the library menu, and then I also have an area where I can select a goal. I'm going to come back to the goals and start off in the library first. So Brenda mentioned our library covers about 40 different Autodesk titles. I've set some preferences here, so I can just access the tools I need, and any user can do this, but I also have access to the entire CADLearning library. So as you can see, there's plenty of room to expand, and very likely we are covering the Autodesk tools you are utilizing. So because I find most often Revit is the tool that is the common denominator, as is AutoCAD still, I'm going to use Revit for my example today. But if anybody wants to type in the chat, if there's some other tool you'd like me to open up, I'm happy to do that as well, just so you can get a look at the library. So this is our Revit library. And as you can see at the top here, I'm in Revit 2021. And I can just select the release that I'm working in order to get to that library. We do go back to 2016 in most of our libraries. So if you are working on some older projects, that help is there. I'm going to stick with 2021 today. So as a user, when I log in, I can immediately see how much time I've spent and how many lessons I've watched within that library. So for me, I have about 13 hours and 40 minutes of content watched in 165 videos. The library itself, each and every one, is broken down into major topics. And then within each of my topics, I have individual video lessons. If I've watched a lesson, it's going to be checked off. So it's very easy to navigate and say, oh, I'm looking for something in reporting and get to it. But we also have filters, which I'll come back to, that can allow you to get to very targeted content. Within most of the product tiles, we do include stock assessments that you can utilize. Our overall knowledge assessments are recall-based, so they're functions, features in the software, how to do something, multiple choice questions, whereas the skills assessment is a hands-on assessment. where you have to actually open up an exercise file inside the application, perform some type of function or task before you can answer that assessment question. So more that, do you know how to drive the software? Our Revit library encompasses all of Revit. So you're going to find Revit architecture, Revit structure, and Revit MEP, as well as the foundational pieces of Revit within our library. Just so you can get a look at a video, I'm going to start there and go ahead and launch a video. So when you want to watch a video, you simply click on the video link. It launches. As you can see, the library itself has opened up, so I know exactly where I am within that library. The instructor is talking here. I am going to shut him off. I don't believe you hear him over the meeting anyways. And as you can see, there's closed captioning, great for full screen. I'm going to turn those off as well. So a few things I want to point out as the video runs. You'll notice there are call outs and highlights, so you never have a question as to where the instructor is. I can adjust the playback speed. So if I'm a new user, I may want to slow this down, or if I'm a power user, I may want to speed it up. I also have a scrolling narration that goes along with the video. I can click anywhere in the video to get to that point. So if I want to quickly scan through and get to a point in the video, or if you want to use F8 on your keyboard and do a quick search, it will also allow you to really quickly find what you're looking for. As far as exercise files, depending on the library you're working in, you may find a live link here, or the resources for the entire course are provided with the data sets on the home page of the library. I think in the Revit 2021, you actually will find that on the home page. I'm going to go ahead and drop back into my course and show you a few other things. So I mentioned our assessments and the way they provide a personalized learning path. So I'm just going to go ahead and show you an assessment that I've completed so far, so you can see how that works. This is my transcript that I'm going to. Don't be alarmed, I do a lot of presentations. The everyday user is not going to have a transcript that looks like mine. I'm going to go ahead and open up my Insight assessment. So this is a knowledge-based assessment I already completed. It tells me right away when I finish an assessment that I answered 3 out of 10 correctly. And then it looks at my incorrectly answered questions and recommends lessons based on that concept, that I should go back, maybe rewatch, open up the exercise file, and work along with the instructor. So I could actually click on every one of these links, or even better, I now have a personalized learning plan, and I can create a playlist called Insight. I've actually already created it before we got on the phone, but I would just click Create. And now it actually has grabbed all of my lessons, dropped them into a playlist for me, and they're now available as my personalized learning plan. So again, I can go ahead and watch these lessons again, practice with the instructor, and then we actually build a whole new assessment. This is a dynamic assessment based on just what's here in this playlist. So this can be a very iterative process for the individual user to get to that 100% retention rate. And just so you can get a look at some assessment questions, I'm not going to go through this whole thing, but just so you can get a quick look. And this is a knowledge-based assessment. Oh, I guess I am. So I do have my results, and again, I can create that playlist. I'm going to go ahead and jump back into the library. There's a few other things I just want to point out here before we move along. So I mentioned you can filter down in the library. We do also have global search. Global search is going to search the entire CADLearning library, first based on your preferences, and then if you want to expand it, you can. I find that if I'm working in Revit 2021 and my problem or what I'm trying to learn about is related to Revit 2021, then I want to just go right to that library and filter down to the lessons that are specific to it. So I'm having trouble with sloped roof. I need some help. I typed in the key phrase. It's now available. I can quickly get that help. I can drop those lessons into a playlist so they're accessible to me. One really cool thing with CADLearning is when you build playlists, they also surface in CADLearning Assist, which we're going to get to in a few moments. So they're available to you right in the application, and you can work through your problem. So again, you can see it grab those lessons for me. I can share lessons or playlists with other team members. I can assess myself on just this particular little concept. And of course, you can delete your playlist as well. So playlists are a really valuable resource in CADLearning. I encourage you to try them out, especially if you get a trial. If you're new to an application and you want to go through in a topic by topic way to learn things, you can grab entire topics, take the assessment, filter out what you already know, or in the case of you're being new, take the assessment after you go through the plan and hone things down. So pretty powerful tool. I think that covers everything I wanted to touch on in the library. I do want to just open up a few recent releases we've had in the library just so you can get a look. We do have a full BIM 360 library. This library was updated as recently as last week with new lessons. And that's another thing I should make you aware about with CADLearning. Because we built this as a hybrid system, it's got some really nice learning management type tools built in, but it's also a content management system, so kind of a hybrid solution where we can insert updated lessons as needed. So Autodesk releases new features in BIM 360 all the time. So we are constantly updating this library as well. I wanted to give you a quick look at the breadth of that. We also released PlanGrid a little earlier this year, and we'll be integrating it in as Autodesk has done in the BIM 360 product. I know that's a pretty popular tool out there, especially in the construction world. So I'm going to move along to the goals and show you how these work. It's a little bit different process than the library. Our out-of-the-box goal-based learning is aligned to Autodesk certifications. So in particular, if you're considering becoming Revit Architecture certified, a certified professional, or Civil 3D, or one of those other disciplines, you'll find that we align to all of the Autodesk certifications offered. We also have some role-based goals in here as well that you can try out. And the way the goals work out of the box is I just select my goal. I'm going to go ahead and select it. And you can see my screen changed. For organizations, for anyone that's running a team, these goals can actually be assigned. A nice feature that allows managers to really track what a user's doing, and it's also a great way for users to get that feeling of achievement as they go through. So each day I can come in and answer a pop quiz question. If I get it right, because this is competency driven now, not just I watched a lesson, but I have to prove I understand something, it's going to eliminate the lesson from my learning path. If I get it wrong, it's going to recommend what I need to go watch in order to understand that concept. And you can see there's multiple lessons here. That's because the question I answered is related to more than one lesson. In the center of the screen, it's saying, okay, based on the goal that you selected, these are the 5 lessons we think you should look at next. So it's just using a little bit of intelligence, looking at where I'm at and saying, you should watch these next, or why don't you try these? And then I have a progress bar that's giving me an indication of where I'm at in my goal. Just a high-level view. This is the goal itself, and certainly you can go through these goals. They're a subset of content we have in the library, but aligned specifically to the Autodesk learning objectives. So my main goal is to become a certified professional for Revit Architecture. And then my goals are broken down into the Autodesk learning objectives. So my first medallion is elements and families. And then further broken down to the competencies within those learning objectives. As I achieve badges that represent those individual competencies, they will fill in. I don't achieve a badge until I answer all of the assessment questions correctly that go along with a particular badge. Same with a medallion. I have to answer everything and complete everything before my medallion is going to fill in. So there's little assessments. They look just like the assessment I took in the library from my playlist. And again, the user can still develop that personalized learning path from their assessment results, or they can just come back into the goal and continue on. Their lessons that have been eliminated will be checked off, and the ones that remain will still be there. I have assessments at every point. So one of the main goals of CADLearning is we don't want you to spend time watching things you know how to do. So you'll see this repeated throughout our solution. A user can come in and assess themselves at the full goal and eliminate what they don't need from their path, or they can come in and try medallions and badges as well. We hear often, I hear especially often from larger organizations, we want people to learn. In fact, I heard this as recently as yesterday, but we only give them so much time a day to learn. So this is a great way, whether you're a user or a manager, to make sure that users have incremental learning they can go through on a daily or weekly basis. Most of these goals and the badges are broken down into about 20 to 30-minute increments. So the last thing I want to share with you, and I'm going to go ahead and switch screens, is CADLearning Assist from the user perspective. So you should be seeing AutoCAD, and Brenda, if you could just confirm that for me.
Oh, good. We can see it.
Beautiful. So this is CADLearning Assist. It is available as part of the CADLearning subscription. I encourage anybody that tries out CADLearning to also utilize CADLearning Assist. It installs right here in the menu. When you download it from our website, cadlearning.com, it recognizes what applications you are using. So it runs in Revit, it runs in AutoCAD-based applications, it runs in Inventor, it runs in Navisworks, and we are on the cusp of releasing a plugin for the Autodesk 360 products like BIM 360. So that's coming soon. And the way it works is really simple, but really powerful and elegant as well. As a user, it's kind of listening in the background to what I'm doing. And then based on what I'm doing, it's presenting video lessons for me. So I see you're trying to draw an arc. Here's a couple of lessons related to arc. Oh, you want to use the stretch command. You'll see that the lessons will update to the stretch command. I do have search available. Again, this is global search. So it will search the full CADLearning library based on your preferences. But I also have the library available to me. It recognizes I'm running AutoCAD 2021. It's brought that library along for me. I can quickly filter just as I did within the portal to get to specific lessons. It'll bring them right up for me. And I mentioned how it brings along my playlist. So it recognizes that I have a playlist related to sloped roof. This is available to me, especially if I were in Revit and I needed some help. It would be right there and available for me. So imagine the power if you're a manager, you've represented a video presentation of a workflow, you've shared that with a particular user on a project, they're able to follow it right along as they're working through their project. So pretty powerful. And then lastly, it also brings along the goals that I'm working on. So it understands where I'm at, and I can work right here, within the application. That is CADLearning Assist. You do have the power to toggle it on and off. Some people prefer to just put it on when they need it and turn it off otherwise. As far as these videos themselves, it is designed to run dual screen. This palette does behave like any other Autodesk palette, so you can move it around and locate it wherever you want on your screen. And if I were to launch a video, I'm not going to stress go to webinar out with that. I can pull it over onto another screen or set it up to launch over there. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to my previous screen, and that concludes the user perspective in CADLearning. I hope that was helpful for you. I'm going to go ahead and switch back to my other monitor and go into some of the capabilities that are available for organizations and for managers. So I'm going to switch to a different portal. This is a demonstration portal. It's also used for testing. So occasionally as I go through this, you may see an error or two pop up. Sometimes I make it angry at me. But as you can see, I have a different look here. I now have administrator rights. So I now have an organization dashboard that just gives me some high-level views, particularly related to the goals. Again, it's a demonstration site, so you're not going to see a lot of data here. There's just a small staff that demos from here. But you can see who's engaged, if somebody's improving or struggling, and where people are at in the goal-based learning. So I'd like to discuss next how you can customize CADLearning to fit your needs as an organization. So under this menu for organization, I also as a user have content creator rights. So as you can see, I have an area for custom courses and I have an area for assessments. I'm going to start with the custom courses. And I'm going to go ahead and use a course that I've created here. If I wanted to create a new course, I'd simply click new, give it a name, and save it. But since I've already started one, I'm going to go ahead and use that one so I don't clutter things up too much in here. So this is my little course I created. I gave it a name. I saved it. I want to show it in the library, so I've made it active. Organizations can actually have their own product libraries within CADLearning, so they can drop any custom courses in there if they choose. And then to get the structure of my course. If I want to use CADLearning content, I'll go to the library, but let me just start here with if I want to use my own content. So I've given it a name. Now I can come in and add a topic. So again, just like creating your course, you can go ahead and add a topic in. This is my topic that I've created called Revit Essentials. And then I can upload in my topic. Oops, move that over on me. I can add, there we go. Whew. Little mouse crazy here. I can add lessons. Full disclosure, we do require you have your own Azure storage instance if you want to upload video lessons. Otherwise, you can upload or link to content, which is what the majority of our customers will do. That way, if you change something, it becomes current on the CADLearning portal as well. And you can also add documents. A download is a document. So I've added a link, a document, and I have a video here that hasn't quite processed. One of the unique things about uploading the video is when it does process, it also gives you the ability to create a script from the content. It will actually go through and create the script just as our videos are. It will allow you to link to an Autodesk command. So if you specifically want to surface one of your lessons in CADLearning Assist, you can do that by linking to the command. It also allows you to link to our product libraries. So if you want to show your course in one of our libraries, you can. You can add assessment questions of your own to your lessons, and you can use our lessons or your own. And then lastly, if you want to bring along any type of resource like an exercise file, you can also attach that to your lesson. So pretty powerful. I'm going to go ahead back into my course here and show you how you grab content from the CADLearning library. Because what we find is generally, especially if you're a firm that has multiple disciplines, you might want to break out the library to mechanical, electrical, plumbing, piping, structure, and so forth. Or you might want to break the library out based on foundations. or beginner or advanced and so forth, and then filter in your own content as well. You can put anything in the CADLearning portal that you want. It does not have to be Autodesk related. So if you're using some other tools internally and you want to add content based on that, you're more than welcome to. I'm going to go ahead into Revit and just grab a couple topics to put in my course. So since it's a fundamentals course or an essentials, I'm going to go ahead and grab the fundamentals. And just like a playlist, it works exactly the same thing. I'm going to grab it, drop it right in. And now if I go back into my structure, it's right there. I can grab from different libraries to build my course. So if I want to do something with maybe Civil 3D and InfraWorks to show a specific workflow or for a project training, I can certainly do that. So you're not limited as to how you bring things in. So you can see I have this whole topic here. I can now delete lessons I don't need. I can move things around. I can change the name of the topic to something different if I want to. So you have a lot of power here as well. It's really simple and really easy to utilize. So without going too deep in the weeds, I'm going to go ahead and move on to customized assessments because I find that is something that is extremely useful for organizations. So before I go into the assessment I created to go along with my course, I warned you I might get something. I just want to go over the breadth of our assessment engine. So you are able to create knowledge and skills-based assessments just like ours out of the box. You can also create pre-hire assessments. This is particularly useful if you know you're looking for a candidate with specific skill sets. You want to make sure they know how to use AutoCAD, or you want to make sure they know how to use Civil 3D to some extent. You can develop a pre-hire assessment using our questions or yours, and this is in our enterprise solution only. And then email that assessment through CADLearning to your candidates. You get the results on the backside. So it does not require a license of CADLearning to do this. You can do as many pre-hire assessments as you need. And then once you've done that and identified the correct candidate or the right skill set, you then have the onboarding path. You know exactly where their gaps are, and you now have the path that they can take once they come on board with you. A gap assessment is going to look at different versions of the software and then create an assessment based on those differences. So maybe if you're moving from 2019 to 2021, AutoCAD, you can create an assessment based on that. We also give you the tools to create a gap playlist for different versions of the software. So again, very useful. You want users to just focus on what's new and what they don't know based on the new version of the software. You can create a gap playlist for them. As far as assessment methods, we give you several different methods. Standard is just like our standard is just a fixed number of questions. You can come in and change those questions at any time. A static assessment is like our out-of-the-box assessments. So once you publish it, you can't come in and change the questions. It's fixed. And that's great for that apples to apples comparison. You want to get a baseline of where people are at, have them go through their personalized learning path, come back and take that same assessment so you can see the improvements. And then dynamic works exactly the way the playlists work. You say, I want this many questions, I want to cover these 6 topics, and every time a user takes that assessment, it's changing the questions, the order, and so forth, so it's never the same assessment twice. So let me go ahead and open up my assessment. So this is the assessment I created. Just gave it a name and I saved it. I want to use CADLearning questions, so I just associated the Revit course by typing in its name and adding it. And then to get my questions in, I have a couple of different options. I can choose any assessments that have been associated with Revit. So I have my assessment that I've published that's empty right now, the knowledge and skills-based assessment for Revit. So I could select from those, or I can add by course, which is my personal favorite because this is where you can get all of our questions related to this particular library. And just to put a sense to the breadth of the library, we have over 15,000 questions in our our question database. So quite a few. And now I can go through and I can see all the questions related to a particular topic, and I can pick and choose the questions I want just by selecting add. So I'm just going to go ahead and pick a couple. I think I might have picked one twice. I did. And now I have those questions available. If I want to look at the question, I just click on it and it's available to me. If I want to add my own question, I can also do that. I did not save my question, so let me just go ahead back here. Save is your best friend in CADLearning. You always want to click save. If I want to change a question, maybe you use a different vernacular in your office or different terminology, or you just want to change the way things are worded. You can come in, copy a question, and then edit it. You can also add answers so you can modify our questions if maybe you want to have a I don't know answer. Sometimes we find our customers want to add that in. They don't want people to just guess. And you can also see what lesson is associated with a particular question as well. So I know I went over that pretty quickly, but it is very powerful for the users. I'm going to jump into one last thing here, and then we can open it up for questions. I think I see some questions in the chat. So I also have reports available. See a lot of things over on the left, but we're just going to focus on reports for today. So we provide a lot of out-of-the-box reports that are accessible by administrators with these rights. They're graphical reports that show on screen. So for example, if I just wanted to take a quick look at a particular assessment, I could go ahead and select the assessment. It's going to look at question by question whether the user answered it right or wrong and what their score is. Most popular is the download report that we provide. So as far as assessments, we have a download assessment data. This is going to look at every single assessment, no matter where a user took it. It could be a playlist that was shared by a manager. It could be a badge assessment. It could be a question of the day or one of our out-of-the-box library assessments. All of that data, question by question, user by user, is contained in this download assessment data. I'm not actually going to download it today, but that gives you the ability to go ahead and see all of the data. And we also give you the ability to connect to your own reporting tools. So if you are using something like Power BI or Tableau, you can connect to those reports and pull as needed. As far as activity, again, also a lot of on-screen, quickly accessible reports. You can schedule these reports to come to you. But if I want to just get a quick high-level look of who's doing what in CADLearning in terms of the time spent, I can go ahead and grab a quick 30-day, 60-day, 90-day, or a date range and see that on screen. So again, demo site, not a lot of data here, but just to give you a sense. Just like the assessment download, there's also a download for activity. That activity will show, did the user view lessons in the mobile app? Were they in CADLearning Assist? Were they using a badge, and so forth? So all of that data is available to you as a manager.